we will talk about the two use cases 1 and 2. And later, yes, the technical partners will talk more about that. But yeah, before we start, I would like to inform you about some house rules, like we call them housekeeping rules. So please keep in mind that your microphone should be muted while others are speaking. Also, it would be great if everyone can turn off or switch off the camera, so we have like continuously stable internet connection. Also, an important point, because of data security, this session will be recorded, and later on the recording we will forward it to the participants. If you have any questions, yeah, feel free to ask us, and please, for that reasons, use the chat, and we will later then answer you those questions during this session. And if we are not able to, don't worry, we will summarize those questions later. Also, we will update our FAQ, and we will send it to all of you right after this meeting today, this info day. So I think so far it's it about our housekeeping rules. So let's take a look at the agenda. Yes, just to present myself quickly, my name is Christine Ihnen. I'm on behalf of Sploro today here to present this info day, to moderate it together with my colleagues Virginia and Maya from Sploro. So first of all, we will have a short overview about what is the project about. Later on, sorry, this was not my intention. Later on, yes, as I already told you, we will talk about the use case 1, the smart energy matters, and the use case 2, the 5G and 6G architectures. And later on, so you know like how you can apply, Maya will give you a short insight. So I think then it's the turn of Sophia. If you could give us a small overview of the project.
We can hear you.
Sophia? Okay, I don't know. Okay, maybe you, Dani Riobo. I
Can
think
you hear me now?
You're not muted. Yes, Sophia,
No?
we can hear you. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Hi
Perfect.
again. I'm Sophia. I'm representing the National Center of Scientific Research Demokritos in Greece, which is coordinating the project, and our project coordinator is Mr. Akis Kourtis. Our team is diverse with a strong representation from Southern Europe, but we also have partners from the North. Our consortium includes members from academia, industry, and companies of various sizes. Our primary goals is to validate post-quantum cryptography algorithms in a range of pilot projects, 2 of which we will see today, as well as in various industrial scenarios. And I see a hand raised.
I know, sorry.
Okay. We're also working to promote and expand these technologies through the open calls. And I can continue to say a bit more things, but I think we can continue whatever you want from the time.
Okay, great. I think I will then proceed with the open call details. Okay, so yes, actually currently we are in the open call 1. This is the call for the applicants. It has a duration of 2 months, and the deadline will be the end of September at 5 p.m. Brussels time. We are Sploro is the one that is coordinating this open call 1. And if you will have any questions regarding how is the procedure, or you may like face some troubles when applying, we also set an help desk, and the email is applications@pqreact.eu. So let's take a look at the timeline. So as I already mentioned, this open call is open for 2 months. So it's August and September. In this 2 months, we will have also these info sessions. So we are trying to attract people and also, of course, to resolve some questions that you might have. Later on, when everyone applied, we will have the evaluation that will take us around 1 month. Here, first of all, we will check, are those proposals and the consortia, the entities that applied, are they eligible? Later on, we will have an external evaluation, which is the second step. And furthermore, we will then check the legal validation, and the final step would be the grantee agreement. If in case you are like you have been selected as a beneficiary of those projects, the execution will be for 6 months, and this might be from December till May. In this time, you will work on your project and execute the use cases. So an interesting point, of course, is what or how much money do we have available? So it's 300,000 euros for the open call in total. This means when we have maximum 6 use cases, that every use case, every project of those can then receive 50,000 euros. A really important point, and this is, I want to point it out again to stress it out because this is a really first step, as you have just seen in the timeline, is the eligibility check. So we have some criteria for that. So it's just possible to upload one application per entity. So we are not accepting consortia applications. When we are talking about single entity, what does it mean? It means small, medium enterprises, startups, research centers, universities, NGOs, foundations. Also, another important point is you need to be EU member states and Horizon Europe associated countries. So, for example, Argentina would not be or could not apply for those projects. So please, when you are going to apply, make sure that you keep these eligibility criteria in mind and check if you are able to apply first. So we are already at the point to go more or deeper in the technical part of this info session today. So I would like to give the word to David from Indra, that he will now explain us about smart energy matters.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Okay, first, let me a brief introduction of myself. My name is David Domingo on behalf of Indra, as Christine already mentioned. I work as a crypto expert at Indra in the Pickle React project. I'm mainly involved in leading the work package related with post-quantum architecture interface architectures, and also collaborating in the definition of these use cases. For this use case related with smart energy, in this slide we can see a general setup of the use case definition, where smart meters are built by meter manufacturers that provide these smart meters to the utilities that are going to deploy them in the smart grid, and it is these utilities the ones usually requiring the signature of the firmware embedded on the smart meter in order to be able to operate them, because in the end are the utilities the ones holding the functionality required to operate them. The firmware, in case the smart meters firmwares need to be updated, the firmware is translated once signed by the utility back to data concentrators, and data concentrators are the ones involved in the real update of the firmware in the smart grid. Okay, and the smart grid are the ones that needs to validate the signature provided by the utility in order to make sure that the firmware has not been corrupted or whatever. In this scenario, the current operating of the firmware update usually involves asymmetric crypto, and this is asymmetric crypto also because of the constraints in these kind of environments tend to be based on elliptic curves. And we are focusing on this because this in the future use case that we want to analyze, this firmware update will be protected by post-quantum crypto in order to get rid of the risks posed by quantum computers and so on. Next slide, please, Christine. Thank you. So, what kind of challenges are we expecting to address in this use case? First thing is that we consider that a smart grid is really a good scenario in order to address the challenges posed by post-quantum crypto. And in fact, in lots of smart grid deployments, most of the crypto involved is just symmetric crypto, just because of the constraints on the devices and the network and so on. So the devices more specifically the smart meters usually are provided with low processing capacity and low storage. This deployment are also provided with low network bandwidths, for instance, DLMS or prime networks. There are other kinds of networks. There are smart meter deployments based on 5G networks and so on. But for this specific environment, low network bandwidth will be more interesting. We are also dealing with networks with high volumes of smart meters deployed, and with a very diverse range of hardware deployed in this smart meter, so that when going to new cryptography with a specific new performance requirements, probably it is not going to be so easy to have a regular deployment in all the network. Based on these specific constraints, what are the challenging processes that we foresee to be analyzed on the use case? The first one for sure is the firmware signature verification itself to be performed by the meter, which could be impacted by the low processing capacity on the smart meter, or even because of low network capacity when transmitting the firmware. Probably it is not so relevant considering the firmware size itself, but in the end it could have some kind of impact. Also, the key management could be impacted depending on the meter storage availability or the secure memory available, in case the meter have secure memory available in the meter, and also may be impacted by the network bandwidth, because if we have the functional scenario where the public key of the utility needs to be updated, it will be updated in lots of smart meters. And also, and as a very general use case, crypto agility, which is quite challenging in every post-quantum deployment. Okay. Next slide, please, Christine. And in this use case, what kind of infrastructure could be involved depending on how the use case is planned? As mentioned in the first slide, first infrastructure that could be impacted could be the utility itself. Probably the impact should not be so great, because in the end the central infrastructure of the utility probably it is not provided with the constraints of the smart meters. But in any case, secure storage of the private key, management of the public key in the meters, or the signature of the firmware images could be impacted. Also, the data concentrator could be involved on the use case, even if it is not really involved in the cryptographic process itself, but in the end, it is the data concentrator who is directly managing the firmware public update process, and also the firmware update itself. The another equipment that should be mandatorily considered in the use case, for sure, is the smart meter, which is the one that is going to be validating the firmware update signature, and it is also the one who is going to be impacted by the firmware public key update process itself, with the challenges that we have already seen in the previous slide, involving the validation itself, or the space available for the new keys, and so on. And finally, which could be also, if it is not mandatory but could be desirable, it's to consider low bandwidth networks as DLMS or prime network, which could have an impact when considering the higher sizes of the signatures or the keys involved in this process. Okay. And next slide, please, Christine. And what kind of outcomes we expect to rise for the use case? First one, and a quite straight one, it's which kind of post-quantum digital signature algorithms are feasible in this kind of environments. Just because of the higher sizes on the keys and the signatures and so on, and the higher requirements on processing capacity, which kind of algorithms could really fit on this kind of deployments, and not also whether the algorithm really fits in these deployments, but also some comparison with current classical crypto. In the end, which is going to be the impact of migrating to classical to post-quantum digital signature algorithms. Not only focus on which specific algorithms could fit, but also if there is some restriction on the security level. I mean, maybe we find that the lithium level 1 fits in some specific smart meters, but higher security levels do not fit on the deployment. And another possible outcome of the use case is identifying which are the limiting conditions. I mean, in the end, if we find that some specific algorithm is not feasible on some specific deployment, try to analyze which is the limiting condition imposing the restrictions for the algorithm not to be deployable. Some other possible interesting outcome could be applicability to different hardware, and analysis to how the impact on heterogeneous deployment could have an impact on the update to these new algorithms. Also, crypto agility considerations. Also, and this could be quite interesting because in the short time, probably it is the approach that makes more sense. if there is some specific impacts when considering hybrid deployments, considering, for instance, not just signing the firmware with post-quantum crypto, but with two signatures, post-quantum and classical, and also some kind of security considerations. Just for instance, maybe in the end, Falcom is not yet provided with the formal standard, but maybe in the law, it is a more suitable algorithm because of lower performance requirements, or whether in the end smart grid deployments are going to be constrained to lower security levels, at least in early stages, in order to be able to commit with post-quantum standards. Okay. Those are this is the introduction to use case 1. I have seen that already some questions have been raised on the chat. Later during the question and answer, we will try to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Just give me 1 second. Thank you, David. So then I would give the floor to you, Antonio, to tell us some more details about the use case 2. And I will stop sharing my screen so you are able now to share your screen, okay?
Okay.
Just let me, yeah.
Do you
Okay,
see
I
my
think
screen
it's
now?
already. Yes.
Okay, so first of all, let me present myself. My name is Antonio Pastor. I'm from Telefónica, working on Global CPU unit and the part of the transport and core connectivity. And in the Peculiar project, I am taking the leadership of the work packet related with the pilot, including all the pilots that will be involved in the project. Some of them very related with this use case on the open calls. So in this case, what I'm going to present is the use case related with the 5G and potential evolution for 5G and mobile networks, how we can address in the use case the topic related with the transition on the cryptography. So first of all, just to mention that in this use case, we're trying to face two different legs related to the cryptography. This is the reason of the title. On one side, of course, we are considering as part of the interest of the project the post-quantum cryptography, in the sense that probably if you are here, you were aware of that, or the different new algorithms, including the one recently approved by NIST. But in general, these are algorithms, new algorithms that provides solutions to some subsets of potential or some of the already known quantum algorithms that the quantum computer will be able to execute in order to break some kind of algorithms, specifically the ones of asymmetric cryptography. The advantage of this approach, as you know, is that it could be run in principle in any kind of computer or system, network device, whatever. So this will give us some advantage on migrating the evolution. There is precisely one of the handicap that are here today because they are not clear on this path for evolving from the classical algorithms to these new ones. But also, I would like to highlight that there is the second leg I wanted to mention, that is this concept of the without the post, the quantum cryptography, and one of the most advanced techniques that we have today, that is the quantum key distribution. In this case, instead of use purely a computational problem to solve or difficult to solve in order to protect the encryptions and the authentication integrity mechanism. Here we rely on law of the physics, and you use concepts like the qubits, and using a fiber or a satellite connectivity, we should be able to establish a secure channel for interchange keys. Usually you have an Alice and have a Bob. You can have a quantum random number generation that provide you this entropy that could later on will be used to agree on these keys. The advantage of this approach is that in principle it's independent of the computational capacity of any system, including the quantum computers. The disadvantage is that it's not feasible for any solution. I mean, in some specific scenarios, we can find that it's not feasible, basically because you are involving hardware, specific and dedicated hardware. Also, it's still in the early stage, so it's not a 100% mature technology. It's progressing quickly, but in principle, it's not as mature as other security technologies. So in principle, there has been in the past some kind of, let's say, confrontation between the two technologies. But I think the idea here is, as part of the use cases for the open call, is try to avoid this exclusivity and try to identify how both technologies can combine and help on resolve the use case. And we are going to apply this solution in 5G and beyond technologies. So just to, here is representing the typical scenario for a 5G network. Let me just introduce a bit in order you are not aware about these technologies. Very schematically, here you have usually a user equipment that's usually your mobile phone or your router with mobile connectivity. You have the radio access network, where usually are identified with the base station antennas. And after that, you have two main components. One is the core, that is all these blue boxes in the top of the picture, and the UPF, that is basically a component for forwarding the traffic to other clients, to internet, to other services. All of the upper layer usually is identified to be hosted in a data center environment on the telco premises or a cloud environment. Meanwhile, the RAN and the user equipments are physically and widely distributed. But there are situations where these, for example, the RAN is very well located and are in critical areas. For example, in industry environment, you can have a manufacturing floor plan. You can put a private antennas for radio, a G.B, and they're ready for the IoT devices to make connectivity on 5G and provide this access to services and applications that are in some data center or the manufacturing company servers. So the variety of scenarios will allow you to think in terms of potentially to include this technology that require dedicated device and like the QKD in some scenarios. But what is expected basically in this use case is to analyze what are the impact and how we can solve some of them in some of the well-known network protocols that involve from 5G that should be addressed in terms of the transition to post-quantum cryptography. So looking again on this picture, I have put some example on the left. For example, all the management of these systems today are done using typical TLS or SSH or similar protocols that depends strongly on asymmetric cryptography. The same problem we have when we are talking to the communication between, not from the management system, but indeed between the communication between the components. So, for example, some of the components in the radio part, the G.B, towards the core of the networks, usually require a mutual authentication that today is being solved with certificate and asymmetric cryptography. And in general, the communication between the components on the core, these blue boxes, are based on service-based architecture that involve HTTPS. So we are talking about TLS and TLS involve also the use of mutual authentication with certificates. So again, we are facing with asymmetric cryptography. So all this environment requires some kind of what is mentioned here in the second point, public key infrastructure. The public could be taken with care in the sense that some operators or some this owner of this network can have his private certification authority in order to provide the certificate to the user. So it's not mandatory to have a public key infrastructure. It could be a private one, but something that could be accepted by the network elements in order to run. So here we have another challenge that we need to face, how we are going to manage certificates and signatures that support these new algorithms in order to be secure against potential attacks. Additional examples that are impacting on mobile network. For example, the SUSI, for those of you that are not aware here, basically what we are doing is in 5G is hiding, concealing. This is the C of the SUSI, the subscriber identity. Concealing them in order to protect for some type of attack over the radio interface that can extract the identity of the terminal or the users. The classical concept of the IMSI catcher. But basically, what was introduced in 5G was the concept of using encryption or hiding this identity with a set of algorithms that are covered by this family of elliptic curve that is called ECS. And again, we are facing with a problem of asymmetric encryption and a demand for to create some kind of transition towards a quantum secure solution. Which additional example we can have? For example, the communication in the data plane between these pink lines between the user, not the part between the user equipment and the RAN that is moving over the air, but the part that is moving between the antenna, the unit B, and the core of the network, and over different jumps and different UPF that could be in the network. All this traffic usually is encrypted and protected with integrity and authentication using IPsec. The IPsec itself is not problematic in the sense that it uses symmetric cryptography and is not one of the biggest concerns. But IPsec usually is aligned with the IKey protocol that take care of negotiate and agree the keys they are going to use. In this case, fits very well the use of key technology, but also some key exchange mechanisms like the ML-KEM that are proposed on the new algorithm from NIST. The point is that we have some element like the security gateway that is usually a component that is present on the network that allow that some of these antennas that are outside of the telco perimeter could connect and interchange traffic of the user in order to protect all the traffic. Again, this is something that could be impacted. I mentioned before the service-based architecture, these dotted lines in the topper between the different components on the core that today they basically are microservices, things in terms of virtual machine or containers that are interacting between them, and they need mutual authentication, establishing the connectivity over TLS. And again, we demand some kind of capacity for evolving towards a post-quantum solution. And there are more examples. I mean, for example, in the case of the ramming is when the one network, one mobile network want to connect with other one, and you are moving usually to abroad to another country, and the traffic, your data traffic or your voice traffic goes from one operator to another using ICX or IPX, usually is a technical name, that is like a parallel internet where the data is interchanged between operators. These mechanisms usually are protected, including IPsec, but also all the signaling today is solved using message based on JSON. And the protection of this JSON format usually is with signatures and encryption. Again, the signatures are based on classical algorithm like RSA, derivatives, or elliptic curve, and could also impact in the transition to post-quantum. And probably I leave in several more that are not reflected here. Just to add that we have put here an example with a link recently published on and very interesting from the GSMA, that is the GSM Alliance, where they more or less depict this more in detail, this example of the impact and another ones that could be relevant. I give you this reference just if you want to take a look on this. So moving on, what about this, the objective of this use case? Basically, what we, as I mentioned before, we wanted to leverage the PQC or the QKD or the combination of both, following concepts like hybridation, not hybridation in the classical perspective of mixing classical keys with post-quantum keys. We want to go beyond, and we're interested to identify different hybridation approach that involve not only classical and PQC, but also combining with QKD, where they are feasible, in order to solve some of the problems on 5G evolution that we have mentioned. Of course, we cannot put here a picture for 6G because 6G today doesn't exist. They are not fine. But if you identify some technologies that are being relevant for 6G, I don't know, I think in terms of evolution of non-terrestrial network, connectivity of nodes, and so on, that could be relevant because you think it's feasible, maybe, and have impact on post-quantum and are related with this 5G and 6G evolution, could be fit well. So the scope basically is to take some of this problem and create a evaluation on the solution, demonstrate a solution on how you can integrate this. We have highlight basically the aspect of the protection on the data plane with the communication of the network traffic, some of the example, and also the aspect related with the public key or the certification authorities, the infrastructure that should be evolved in these 5G networks toward the post-quantum solution. So any approach on this area is very relevant. About the infrastructure, well, basically here we are not facing with a real 5G environment or environment. Nonetheless, if you have some solution that could bring is welcome. But what is expected is that some solution that use the 5G could be addresses. And also, if you have some solution that could involve or the QKD, this not be necessary to provide a QKD environment. We can have it or we can emulate it depending on the necessity. About the challenge, basically the list is here. One point is that we expect to try to address how we can do this integration between PQC cryptography and QKD architecture and system to address this set of problems on 5G network and beyond connectivities. This also arises, what I mentioned before, we are interested to know how new novel hybridation approach and algorithms and techniques you can provide precisely to address this set of protocols that are impacted and how we can use new algorithms to address them. As I mentioned before, the public key infrastructure for certification management, keeping in mind that we need to address this post-quantum cryptography, and we need to address the problem of quantum computing and potential attack should be addressed in this case in order to make it secure. The crypto agility in the sense that we can think in terms of, okay, we are supporting hybridation. There are options of doing that. How do your solution could help on, for example, decide if I have to change from one algorithm to another, keeping in mind that for example, in the case of signature, we already have several standardized by the NIST, and we have the opportunity to change between them. Or solution that demonstrate agility in the sense that, okay, I can have very easily without any impact on the network or on the 5G network chain from one algorithm to another. This is a appealing case to demonstrate. And finally, some of the aspects related with the performance that could be specifically thinking in the term of the not in the speed of the data plane, because as I mentioned before, we are moving basically in symmetric encryption, and this is not impacted. So the performance of the communication will be not critical, but all the process of re-authentication, certification renew, and all on this kind of action that impact in the network protocols, for example, thinking in terms of the size of the certificate could impact or break some of the algorithm, generating fragmentation. This kind of aspect could be relevant in order to evaluate. So this is another relevant topic. About the outcomes. So here, basically, what we like to see is some use case between your case, some of the potential topics and challenge we are proposing, a demonstration with a functional implementation that we can see and test, and of course all the associated material that basically requires one analysis result, in the sense that, okay, we have test this is the feasibility, this is the limitation, this is the advantage. We cannot, for example, we're using QID, but we can only use where they can be put, for example, in this antenna unit B, or we can only use between the core of the network and the UPF, or between this kind of analysis and identification of the limitations and the possibilities are really appealing, including some list of potential recommendation. If there is some performance work proposed in the use case, then of course expect some number on results. Also, if you are trying to adopt some standard and you identify the need for modifications of the standard. And finally, if there you identify some security improvement or concerns on the solution to be depicted and identified here. So I think
Antonio,
this is all.
just a small. Perfect. Okay. I just wanted to remind you about the time, but okay. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Okay, let me stop my sharing.
Perfect. Yes. So I have seen that there are already quite a few of questions in the chat. So David and Antonio, if you can, maybe you can take some time also to check on them, and if you are able to, you can answer them. Yes, otherwise we would now proceed with the next step. So now my colleague Maya will take over, and she will give us some insights about how to apply and how it does look like.
All right. Hello, everyone. Let me just share my screen, and I'm going to take you into live demo of the platform where you will be able to apply. Some of you, I'm sure you already created your profiles, but for those for whom is the first time attending this type of event, you can visit our website, and from the website you will see at the bottom of the page the Apply Today button. If you want additional information, you also have some open call documents which might definitely come useful for you. There are guidelines which are like the holy book of the open call, and we really recommend that you go through them so that we make the process easier for everyone. And then also in the submission pack you will find the template of the application form, which is identical to the actual application form on the platform, which I'm going to demonstrate now, just so that you can prepare to have answers for all the questions in the application form. So once you want to apply, you click here, it will take you to this page. So it's our open call platform. And since we are running simultaneous calls for different projects, it will also make sure that you are applying for the correct one. And since the link is set up that it directly takes you to PQ React, it should be fine like this. Otherwise, you can just select from the options. And then also you can put the name of your startup or company or the project name. if you don't have an application yet. Since I do have a dummy account open, I will just skip to this tab and we will go from here. So this is how the face of the platform looks like and the application form. It's really easy. Well, at least we think it is. Hopefully for you will be as well. It's quite intuitive, but we just want to go through all different types of the questions that you might come across so that you pay attention to details and, you know, smoothen the process. So you will have types of questions, these general ones, but the contact information where you simply put your name, last name, and a phone number. Obviously, when we ask you for a phone number, don't put words, and where we ask you for text, don't put numbers. I think it's pretty straightforward. And then another type of question will be drop down, and you can select. Sometimes you'll be able to select just one, like in this case, but there can also be an option to select more. Then there will be a section about the organization information. The country part is also one of the things that I want to point out. These listed countries are all that are eligible, but in case you will click other, there will be another menu appearing, which if you can see here, if I will pick one of the eligible countries, this disappears. So in the case of organization website, please keep in mind that in case you will post a link with just www.yourpage.com, you might face problems. So be sure to put the whole URL address and including the HTTP and all the other extra characters, just to avoid any unpleasant surprises. Then we will also be asking you for a logo of the company. That is in case you get selected, so you are one of the selected use cases, and you will collaborate with us. We will use this for promotional purposes. Therefore, we really recommend that you upload a high quality photo, and it's pretty simple. Just choose file from your folder on computer and paste it here and upload it. In the eligibility self-declaration, you will also see sub-questions. So in case you will choose the option of I come from university, then it will have additional question, has personnel been shared between different groups? So here I would also like to add what Christine was talking about before, about the eligibility. As a university or research center, we know you have different research groups. And in the case that you apply, there can only be one research group per use case, meaning also that if you have shared personnel between different groups, you will not be able to, apply in two different groups. So only one applicant or one legal entity per application. And then you will have obviously these yes and no questions, pretty straightforward. And then in the case of project description, I want to point out that you have character limitations. We all know that you are very passionate about your project, but mind you that the evaluators will have to go through each one of the applications. So we needed to somehow limit the characters. And you will see that if you will go above or over the limited characters, you will have the counter here and you will be able to see it. But in case you will forget about it for whatever reason, because it will be focused on the content, it will remind you. And I will leave this like this just for the for the demo purposes, because I want to show you something at the end or before the submission. So you will also see this must be less than or equal to 1000 characters. You have every possible option that help you guide in filling the application. And on the left, I also want to bring your attention to this menu. You have all the sections with questions listed here. So this is also something you want to pay attention to. in this case, we are in this section of objectives. So you can see that it has an exclamation mark, which means that you have to do something because there has to be something wrong with the answer. And in this case, obviously, it's exceeding the character limitation. Most of the questions are, these text ones, because we want you to really describe your use case very well. We wanted to give you the space. And then in the implementation part, you will see a different type of question, which is basically in tabs. And this is just about, because we want to get to know your implementing team. So what you do is, if you are a research group of 5 people, you simply add more people like this. If you make a mistake, simply delete it, and it will go back to the number that you actually want. And then just input the data here. And in this case, the CV should be in PDF. Generally, we always ask for PDF versions of all the documents, except in the case of the logo, we also accept the JPEG. Why am I saying this? It may seem trivial, but we have seen very creative, sources of documents uploaded. So if we ask for PDF, that means we want PDF. Yeah, so let's say that we are satisfied with your answers and you are ready to submit. You just check, I did everything. Okay, let's see, final answer. In some cases, you will also be able to pick, to select more. And then you say, okay, I want to first save. Also, the changes will be saved automatically. If you have trust issues, you can also save them yourself. And then you decide, okay, I want to submit my application, but it will not let you. And this is the good thing, that you have all these red and orange and I don't know, all the colors that are actually pointing you to the questions that are not either filled correctly. There's something missing. So just go back and see what the issue is. Usually it will tell you, it's really straightforward. It will tell you what's the problem. So this field is empty or must not be empty. So you need to fill it up. In certain cases, it will tell you you exceeded the character limitation and whatever the case may be. So when you will mitigate and correct all the answers, everything will be perfect. Then you basically click submit. And then in that case, you will get a confirmation email to the email that you put in your profile. And then you will simply wait for our feedback. All the deadlines and the timelines, approximate timelines and dates are in the guidelines, so you can refer to the guidelines. And at the end, I also want to say that you do not have to fill in the application in one go. You can always save it. You will have it in the dashboard. You can come back to it and it will be in draft mode. So you can just always go back and say complete application and, either start again, or if you want to change something or fill in the rest of the information, you can do so and then just submit when you're ready. But please don't submit on the last day, because this is also best practice that procrastination has never bear any good fruit. So if you know what I mean. So we would suggest take as a deadline at least 2 days before the official deadline, because you never know what technical issues might arise. And with that, I am going to finish my talking and my presentation so that we have 6 minutes for the answers. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Maya. I will just quick, let me check. I hope you see. Sorry. So I just wanted to call attention again to the help desk that we have. So any further questions, please feel free to answer, to text us via applications@pqreact.eu. And now we will have still some time to talk and discuss about some open questions. that you might have. So please feel free. And yeah, you are able to speak now.
Yeah, so maybe we can start with David. I can
Yeah.
read the question and then you can answer. What Vlad is asking, what do you mean by crypto agility? And what about the hardware capability of the meter to run PQC algorithms?
Okay, I think in fact the crypto agility was already introduced quite well for sure by Antonio in his slides of 5G. I will try to recap a little bit. We consider crypto agility in post-quantum deployments just in a very general way, because all the post-quantum crypto is quite new technology, and we have already faced during the post-quantum algorithms concurs some algorithms that were in the final phases of the NIST concurs in the end to be deemed insecure, or some algorithms that have been subject to relevant modifications in order to provide the expected security. So when dealing with post-quantum technology, with crypto agility, we refer to some relevant changes in order for the systems to be ready to update the post-quantum algorithms just in case some relevant modifications is required. So crypto agility might have some implications in several layers. For sure, it has some impact regarding the protocol. If on the smart meters use case, if I am issuing some post-quantum crypto signature, we have to make sure that the specific algorithms it's not implicit on the protocol. The protocol must explicitly include the algorithm being used, so that if we have to update it, it is not requiring updating the protocol and things like that. But we can also think in other implications of agility regarding in the smart grid deployment, for instance, the ability to have access to all the meters when it is required in order to update, the possibility of all the meters to be updated to new algorithms or the new modifications if it has some impact on the key sizes or the performances and so on. So crypto agility is quite a broad issue in the post-quantum thing, and something to be considered when dealing with post-quantum. And for the other question of Vlad, in fact, the ability or the capability of the hardware to run the post-quantum algorithms, in fact, is one of the challenges explicitly included in one of the slides. So it's something already considered. I think next question. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on the data concentrator and what does it do and who runs it?
Yeah, for sure. The concentrator in the smart grid deployments, in fact, it is acting as an intermediate component between the utility central systems and the smart meters deployment, in the sense that the connection between the utility central operation capabilities goes to the data concentrator by an IP network. It's a regular IP network, and it is the data concentrator who is connecting by means of the regular electricity cable, by the regular electricity network, with the deployment of the smart meter. So even if it is not really involved in the cryptographic operation, it is the one dealing with the instructions from the utility central facilities. Okay, that is more or less the role of the data concentrator. And I think that we have another question.
If Indra will provide access to smart meter network or circuit and to validate the proposed PQC resistance solution.
Okay, no, the answer is no. We are not going to provide this kind of infrastructure access.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And the last question we have is for Antonio. So it's about PKI. Is this strictly X509 or something like W3C DID could be accepted?
Okay, let's say that apply for this and for the next one, precisely with the labs and the use of public case or the libraries. The main point is that today the focus is to use what is standardized to use in mobile network, that the 3GPP, that basically is X509, but taking into account that this is also a vision for 6Gs. This distributed identities approach for the W3C is acceptable, and the same from the standard for the like the one mentioning from the lamps on the ATF and or using. I mean, nothing is restricted, so it's fine to propose these things. But keep in mind that today there are more attraction or more appealing to go for something that is standardized or close to standardization. Sorry. And the last one, I think, is about the open source and the 5G use case. I just to mention that we are more than happy to see open source components. An example of the solution that has been, as mentioned in this question about the widely accepted. For example, let me mention free 5G or open 5Gs are the typical example we're seeing for the part of the radio. All these kind of open source projects are welcome in the proposals.
Thank you to both.
Maria, yeah, there are still a couple of questions down the chat.
Sorry. They just appeared now. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the Microsoft.
Yeah, exactly. I
Teams
was
issue.
just seeing them also. Okay.
So Maria, Ayesha, she has a follow-up question. Is Indra going to share which platform to use for the smart metering use case?
No, in fact, this is something to be proposed in the use case. As I mentioned before, the general picture is the one depicted on the first slide. The use case must for sure to consider the electricity meter and the specific components to be involved in the use case. Or this is up to the proponent to define which specific architecture they are going to use.
Okay, so thank you for answering all those questions. Are there still some questions left? Does anyone has an open question?
Yeah, there are some, but because we are already over time,
Yes,
I suggest
okay.
that we get them together and we will
Okay.
come back with the answers afterwards.
Yeah, okay. I have just seen that one was just answered also. Okay, perfect. So yeah, thank you everyone for like participating, for your interest in the PQ React project. And yes, I really encourage you to think about applying. It's great to be part of this cybersecurity future, let's say, of Europe. So yes, thank you everyone again, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you very
you.
much. Bye.